Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Vitor Belfort to defeat John Jones. And he came about as close as anybody. And I'm here to talk about Ian Garry versus Michael Venom Page. And for this fight, I am siding with Ian Garry. I've got Ian Garry winning a decision. I'm trepidatious about this fight because I think either guy could win an outside striking battle and look at it as a favorable matchup stylistically. I think they both are looking at this fight this way, where they're fighting another outside striker. And the outside striking is interesting. Michael Venom Page is very hard to beat there, but Ian Garry comes close to matching him in stature. They have the same height and not quite the same reach. Michael Venom Page has 5 inches of reach on him, but I still think Ian Garry is a really good outside striker with better power. Michael Venom Page is overall more dangerous, but if you take away the flying knees and the spinning elbows and whatever else, I think Ian Garry throws harder strikes. And I think on the inside, he would get the better of the fighting just by being the more powerful guy. As far as the grappling, I give an advantage to Ian Garry as well, even though Michael Venom Page has more submissions. And he got all three of his submissions before Ian Garry even fought MMA. But he's still much more of a kickboxer, and I think Ian Garry's got more going on the ground. Ian does have one submission, and it was a nice rear naked choke a few years ago. I was able to see it. But I still trust he's got a little more going on the ground. And as an amateur, I've seen him lock up Darces and triangles and go for shit. I know he's not a total fish out of water. But I'm not talking so much about submissions with a real refined ground game here. I'm talking about physicality and wrestling, plainly. And I think Ian Garry wins that fight. Not I don't know if he's going to out wrestle Michael Venom Page like Logan Storley did, one of the two guys to beat MVP. But I think he could crowd MVP in the clinch and neutralize him and also land the better strikes, punches anyway, because in tight, you're susceptible to elbows, of course. But it's going to be a very interesting fight. I think in the end, I could have this totally wrong. And if I do, it could look very easy for Michael Venom Page, where it turns out to be a stylistically favorable matchup for him, fighting somebody who is going to give him that outside striking fight. Because this grappling that I'm talking about, it's all just speculation. I mean, just looking at the fight on paper, it's a fight between two outside strikers who are going to give each other the fight that they want. And even that, I'd slightly favor Michael Venom Page if you told me they were just dancing around each other the whole fight. I'd favor MVP, but that's not a fight that Ian Garry can't win either. Even against a guy like MVP. Ian Garry is a very good outside striker, great jouster, and he's got maybe not as nice of a finish rate or so many flashy finishes, but his striking is fundamental and very good. He doesn't make nearly as many mistakes as Michael Venom Page. He's not going to have his hands down for 3/4 of the fight like Michael Venom Page will either. So I think it's going to be a very interesting battle. On the feet, if it's a pure kickboxing bout, could go either way. But I think if they decide to grapple, if either guy does, it's Ian Garry getting the better of MVP. Ian Garry's never been defeated. He's got one loss as an amateur, I guess, and that was a fight in which he was out-wrestled, even though he did better in round 3. But he was out-wrestled and cleanly lost the decision. But it was a 9-minute fight, and you know what? They had another fight as kickboxers, and Ian Garry beat the shit out of the guy. So there's that. He won a decision anyway. But other than that, Ian Garry's never been defeated. The closest he's come, I'd say, was the Kanan Song or Song Kanan, who cracked him. And that was half a strike against his chin. He was rocked. But Ian Garry kept himself safe, kept himself from getting teed off on, stuck his head against the cage when he needed to protect himself. And he lived to fight another round or two. And then he knocked out Kanan Song in the final minute of the fight. So that's as close as he's come to defeat. But he did have a few close decisions as well, particularly against Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal really brought it to him. I still thought Ian Garry definitely won the fight, but it was a split decision, so it must have been close. And I thought really the same type of fight happened with Darian Weeks. Darian Weeks was also in his face and hit him with some good strikes and just brought the pressure and crowded Ian Garry. But I still thought Ian Garry pretty much won the same type of fight that he did with Jeff Neal, being the better outside striker and having more going on in round 3, just in case the fight was close enough, which I guess it was because he won a split decision. But that's it, though. Other than that, he's looked perfect. He's gone 5 hard rounds in Cage Warriors, and he's gone 3 hard rounds, plenty of time in the UFC, and he's done very well there. With Michael Venom Page, he's got 2 losses. One loss, he was knocked out by Douglas Lima. Douglas Lima, one of the best fighters in Bellator history, I guess, was able to chop him down, kicked him with a low calf kick that dropped Michael Venom Page. And as he was about to get up, he got hit with an uppercut that knocked him unconscious. It was a beautiful finish. And Michael Venom Page did avenge that loss, but it was via split decision a few years later, where Douglas Lima still got him down and made it very close, got him down a few times, but MVP won the fight. MVP's other loss is a decision to Logan Storley. Another fight that's a split decision, but I thought Logan definitely won. Logan Storley is a beast of a wrestler. That is not a path to victory for Ian Garry. I mean, if he can take him down, I guess it is. But he is not the wrestler that Logan Storley is. Not even close. But yeah, Logan Storley, an exceptional wrestler. That's the one guy to actually get through Michael Venom Page, even if it's by a tight decision. He was the one guy to do it. And I do think this is a fight that's tough to predict. I'm picking Ian Garry, and I have bet on Ian Garry just because the odds are so tight. But I really don't have my heart into this one at all. It's a scary matchup for both guys because I think Michael Venom Page, with his 5 inches of reach and his much more sophisticated striking style, I think he's got a lot to offer a guy like Ian Garry, and he could fluster him in a way like he did Kevin Holland, who's no shitty kickboxer himself. But again, I'm picking Ian Garry. I'm picking his fundamentals to keep himself safe, maybe keep the fight boring if need be. And then on the inside, I think he's going to be the more powerful and stronger fighter. And while that may not produce a finish or even a takedown, I think it'll lead to points in one way or another, and Ian Garry is my pick to win this fight. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.